November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. At Portland International Airport, a middle-aged man purchased a one-way ticket. The name on the ticket was Dan Cooper. He wore a dark suit, a white shirt, a black tie. Nothing about him seemed unusual. No one could have imagined that within hours he would become the most famous hijacker in American history, and then disappear forever. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. At first, she assumed it was a phone number. She placed it in her purse. Cooper leaned closer. "Miss, you'd better look at that note." The message claimed he had a bomb. He briefly opened his briefcase. Inside appeared to be wires and cylinders. Whether it was real remains unknown, but everyone aboard believed him. Cooper demanded $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck. The FBI faced a difficult choice: refuse or risk the lives of everyone on board. They agreed. Hours later, the money arrived. The passengers were released. Cooper stayed behind. Night had fallen. Rain battered the aircraft. Strong wind shook the Boeing 727, somewhere above the forests of the Pacific Northwest. Cooper lowered the rear staircase. Then he jumped into darkness, carrying $200,000. Nobody knows exactly where he landed. Nobody knows what happened next. The FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in its history. Agents searched forests, rivers, mountains. Thousands of suspects were investigated. Hundreds were interviewed. Yet Cooper remained invisible. It was as though he had vanished into the wilderness itself. Then came a shocking discovery. In 1980, a young boy found bundles of cash buried near a river bank. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom money, but only a small portion was recovered. The rest was missing. The discovery answered nothing. Instead, it created even more questions. More than 50 years later, the mystery of D.B. Cooper remains unsolved. But investigators, journalists, former FBI agents, and amateur detectives have spent decades debating one question: what happened after the jump? For many FBI agents, the answer is simple. Cooper never survived. The weather was terrible. Rain hammered the aircraft. Winds exceeded 100 miles per hour. Temperatures were near freezing. Below him stretched miles of dense forest, steep mountains, and rivers. Cooper jumped wearing a business suit and loafers. Not survival gear, not hiking equipment. Some investigators believe the jump was essentially a suicide mission. If they are correct, Cooper's remains may still lie somewhere in the Pacific Northwest wilderness. But others strongly disagree. Witnesses described Cooper as calm, methodical, focused. He appeared to know details about the Boeing 727 that few ordinary passengers would understand. He specifically requested 4 parachutes. Some investigators believe this was deliberate. If authorities thought he intended to jump alone, they might provide fake equipment. By requesting 4 parachutes, Cooper created the impression that he might force hostages to jump with him. The FBI could not risk supplying faulty gear. To some researchers, this suggests careful planning, not desperation, not panic. A professional executing a prepared escape. Another theory points toward military experience. Cooper appeared comfortable discussing parachutes. He seemed familiar with aviation procedures. He chose a route that would place the aircraft above isolated wilderness. Some believe he was a former paratrooper. Others suspect he served in the Air Force. A few investigators even proposed intelligence or special operations backgrounds. Yet no military record has ever conclusively identified him. If Cooper had military training, he concealed his identity remarkably well. Then there is the question of the ransom money. In 1980, nearly a decade after the hijacking, a young boy made an unexpected discovery. Buried along a riverbank were several bundles of cash. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom, but only a fraction of the money was recovered. Investigators struggled to explain how it reached that location. Did Cooper bury it? Was it washed downstream, or was someone trying to send a message? To this day, nobody knows. Perhaps the most fascinating theory is also the simplest. Cooper survived, escaped, and disappeared. Supporters of this theory point to one troubling fact. Despite one of the largest investigations in FBI history, no body was ever found. No parachute, no confirmed remains, no verified death. Nothing. If Cooper survived, he may have spent decades watching the world search for him, knowing they would never find the truth. Every theory explains part of the mystery, but none explain everything. And that may be why the legend of D.B. Cooper refuses to die, because somewhere between the storm, the money, and the man who vanished, the truth was lost.